This is the Dollemore Daily, and I'm Jesse Dollemore. Remember about every other day during the Virginia gubernatorial election that there were claims that there was going to be widespread voter fraud, just like Donald Trump did during the 2020 election? Months before, claiming it was going to be rigged. He's even said at rallies that if he wins, everything's fine, but if he loses, he's going to claim it's rigged. He said this during a CPAC speech about a CPAC straw poll about who the most likely presidential run candidate should be. He's played his hand and showed his hand many times related to his lies and fostering of a conspiracy theory to undermine American democracy. And Republican candidates all across the spectrum have taken his lead. Glenn Youngkin being no different. I'm going to read a little bit from this Business Insider article. Trump and Republicans haven't made a peep about voter fraud in Virginia since Glenn Youngkin won, which is to be expected. It also raises the question, how long is this strategy going to play out working for Republicans? And I mean like the Republican voters, your average American. How long is this going to be, oh, they're scared about voter fraud, and then when they win, oh yeah, it was no problem. Eventually, you would think the low information audience, voter base, fan club would catch on. Reading from this article, on Monday, former President Donald Trump, no, on this program we call him ex-president. On Monday, ex-president Donald Trump announced he was, quote, not a believer in the integrity of Virginia's elections. The day before the election, Donald Trump said he was not a believer in the integrity of Virginia's elections. Come Tuesday, when Glenn Youngkin won, apparently he's a believer now. The next day, he took credit for Republican gubernatorial candidate Glenn Youngkin's win in the state. Are you ready for the statement? Here we go.
Statement by Donald J. Trump, 45th President of the United States of America.
Here comes the statement. I would like to thank my base, B-A-S-E, all caps, for coming out in force and voting for Glenn Youngkin. Without you, he would not have been close to winning. The MAGA movement is bigger and stronger than ever before. Glenn will be a great governor. Thank you to the people of the Commonwealth of Virginia, and most particularly to our incredible MAGA voters. No mention of voter fraud. No mention of election integrity, because Glenn Youngkin won. So why continue to foster or promulgate a lie if your guy wins? Continuing with the article, following Trump's lead, other Republican electeds and pundits also abandoned their claims that Democrats would steal the election immediately after Youngkin became the first Republican to win a Virginia gubernatorial election in over a decade. The conservative talk radio host John Fredericks warned of rampant voter fraud in an October 27th broadcast, saying, quote, everything's moving in Youngkin's direction and the Republicans, but a lot of people fear that this is going to get stolen. They're going to try and cheat. We've got all kinds of irregularities right now going on. All kinds of irregularities. Yet, Youngkin won, and handily, unfortunately. And then, it's crickets. Crickets everywhere related to the fraud, the lie, the conspiracy, the thing that doesn't exist. Mother Jones also reported that John Mills, a former cybersecurity official at the Pentagon, who is now a conservative commentator for the far-right, nutter-butter far-right Epoch Times, falsely claimed that ballot counting facilities have poor security and that people can walk in and out. Again, it is a cadre of goofs. These clowns who have found a name for themselves, who are profiting off of media appearances, lying about voter fraud that does not exist. It's not a thing. They've created it out of whole cloth as an effort to explain away losses and to undermine the free and fair elections that our country has enjoyed for hundreds of years. Here's another gem. Republican State Senator Amanda Chase, a Youngkin surrogate who has long claimed the 2020 election was rigged, baselessly claimed in a late October interview that Democrats are cheating. She said flatly that Democrats are cheating in the early vote and that she had passed along information to the Youngkin campaign about how Democrats are stealing elections in Virginia. So apparently, she claims she passed along actual intelligence, actual information, actual evidence of wrongdoing, of election fraud. Youngkin said he knew nothing about these claims and that the election would be fair. On Tuesday night, Amanda Chase, congratulated Youngkin on his win. She never released any of the purported evidence she said she has of voter fraud. Wouldn't you want, if you have evidence of a crime related to our democracy, would you not turn that evidence over to authorities? Wouldn't that be not only the right and legal thing to do, but the patriotic thing to do to safeguard our democracy against threats? Seems like that's a claim that needs to be investigated by authorities. You don't just get to claim things like that and then not pass on the information to the appropriate law enforcement authorities. Youngkin himself walked a fine line on the issue during his campaign. While he was careful to avoid openly embracing the GOP's false claims about the 2020 election, he also refused to reject these conspiracy theories in the early months of his campaign. Before he secured the GOP nomination in May, Youngkin wouldn't say that Joe Biden legitimately won the 2020 presidential election and pushed for a, quote, commission on election integrity. In recent months, he conceded that there wasn't material fraud in the 2020 election, which he called certifiably fair. So you don't know what he believes because he said everything. He supported every position under the sun. Youngkin also acknowledged under questioning that recent election in Virginia have been safe and fair, but, again, both sides of his stupid mouth, but he spoke at an election integrity rally in Lynchburg in August that featured speakers who've spread false and misleading claims about voter fraud in the 2020 election. So who knows what he believes? But Trump and the rest of them are silent now about voter fraud because it is not a thing. It is only used as a strategy to sow paranoia and distrust in our democracy among Republican voters, among Americans in general. That has been the strategy all along. Because remember, when Trump won in 2016, he was also making this, it's rigged, the system is rigged, it's rigged, it's rigged. And then he won, and then it wasn't rigged anymore. But now, when he lost in 2020, oh yeah, it's rigged. It was stolen from him. He won by a landslide, the idiots say. This is nothing but a smokescreen, a preemptive excuse for losses, and a means by which they can try to steal elections. It is disgusting. It is sinister. It is anti-democratic, un-American. But what would you expect from the Republican Party? I'd love to know what you think, though. You can leave me a brief voicemail, 714-576-4054. Of course, you can email me, daily@dollemore.com. Thank you for all of your communications. I've taken a couple days off. I was in Boise at the end of the week, through the weekend, and then Monday I took a day. Tuesday I worked. Wednesday I took a day. I don't know if it's laziness or just trying to get back on my feet after a trip. But anyway, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate all your time. Follow me on social media. I'd love to connect with you there. I am at at Dollemore, just about everywhere, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. And if I bring you value on a day-to-day basis, and only if I bring you value, if I'm just that guy's kind of funny looking, I like to watch his videos sometimes, that's fine. But if I bring you value, if you consider yourself a regular fan or whatever, please consider supporting my work, helping produce my work right here on the platform. For as little as $1.99 a month, you can click the join button below this video, see what's involved to become a channel member, or you can head on over to Patreon, patreon.com/IDoubtIt not just for the podcast, also for the videos. I love you guys. I will see you next time. Until I do, be genuine. Take care of one another.